Well, let's bring in APC Caretaker Committee Chairman in Rivers State, Tony Okocha. Good to see you and thanks for your time. I think a better place for us to start will be the statement there. I'll give you the quote: "Perish the thought of forceful takeover of Rivers." A warning coming from the National Publicity Secretary of the PDP, Debo Ologuagba. Isn't that what your party is attempting at the moment?
Anyway, thank you for having me. I am APC chairman of Rivers State, and I do not think that the national PRO of the People's Democratic Party should be able to decide for me how I call my name. I lead a political party in the state. APC is not a social club. APC is a political party. And political parties are bound by constitution, rules, norms, and ethos. And to the extent that the assembly members are acquiesced to my party, they are therefore under my protection, under my presence. And I have every right to give directives to party members, the assembly members inclusive. Now, to talk about impeachment and all that, it does appear that the national PRO of the PDP is beginning to misconstrue impeachment as coup d'etat. Impeachment is constitutional, and it is not, the history of impeachment will not start and end in Rivers State. There are a plethora of cases of impeachment and all, that are machinated by impeachable offenses. And Rivers State cannot be an exception. I have noted in the sister session that when a contradiction gets to a rupture stage, that's what we are taught in politics. It will necessarily explode. The Rivers State, as we speak today, are degenerated into fascism, totalitarianism, anarchy, and dictatorship. And we cannot sit down here to see that happen. We are the major political party in Rivers State. And we owe our people the duty, as the voice of the voiceless majority in Rivers State, to ensure that there is peace and decorum in the state. The governor who ought to provide that, the governor who ought to be a cynosure of that, is just not there. He is the chief thespian of all the controversies in the state. Rivers State, you are all watching, is degenerating to a theater of the absurd, where anything goes. And a state that was envious in this country, a state that people respect in this country and outside this country, had become a laughingstock all of a sudden because of clueless, directionless, rudderless leadership. And you want us to remain akimbo without doing anything? That is not right. You will not even be happy to know that we have a party and the party is unable to do a thing.
Well, let's start talking about some of the key concerns people have raised, and even politicians and elders in your state. They still think that the APC is not, it's trite for you to say the APC is the majority in Rivers State when some of your members, they say, are no longer members of the State House of Assembly. And you were also disturbed, we understand, by the governor's visit to the State House of Assembly quarters. Why is that?
Well, my dear friend, the law is clear. There's a rule of law in this country. Now, the law that the PRO tried to cite, I'm surprised that he refused to reel down the line. What does the law say? Yes, the law talks about defection from a political party, on the floor of the House and the consequences. But he also refused to read the part where the law says, give conditions upon which that will be possible. The law says, that same law says, that if there is irreconcilable crisis in a political party, it is enough reason to move. Take, for instance, ordinarily, you and I are here now, you're on that station, and your business is to anchor this program. And all of a sudden, you hear, oh, there's an inferno, there's a fire outbreak in your place. Maybe because you are to anchor it, are you expected to sit down there and get burnt? The truth of the matter is that I have told you that the contradiction of Rivers State are gotten to the rupture stage. Now, he will be asking, some of them will be asking, what is the crisis? I want to remind the national PRO. Just recently, they had their NEC meeting, and I'm sure that a lot of their issues were taken up. Now, a party that ran election in 2023, presidential election in 2023, with the 5 governors of 5 different states, announcing openly, it's not like they did anti-party in the secret. They announced openly that they were not going to support the party. And they severed. And it is one reason that contributed to the failure of the PDP in the presidential election. Isn't that enough crisis? Now, you talk about a governor who is on this side, who is interested in stoking fire.
We'll come back. I want you to take a listen. Mr. Okocha, just a moment. I want you to take a listen to this because we understand the lawmakers led by the factional speaker, Martins Amewule, say they are unhappy about Fulbright's unscheduled visit to the assembly quarters. The speaker says the governor's visit was provocative and a ploy to pull down the structure like he demolished the State House of Assembly complex last year. Let's listen to him.
Democracy. Day by day, the governor executes actions that are against democratic institutions. If it is not against the Rivers House of Assembly, it is against chairman of local government. In fact, the governor has declared war on all elected people in Rivers State, so that only him will function as the elected ones, while others will be on the run. We don't know why the governor has resorted to this type of self-help. The governor has shown that he's a violent man. Our governor is a violent man, and I say it repeatedly. And I have evidence to say so. Members of the Rivers House of Assembly were stunned when the governor mobilized thugs to attack Mr. Speaker in his residence. My wife, my children were in my official residence when the governor mobilized thugs from Government House. They chanted from Government House to my official residence to harm me and my family, but for the intervention of security agencies. The governor repeatedly does this to me and members of the House of Assembly. Today he came in person with his thugs. Many of them jumped our fence, they broke the gates and entered there uninvited. Ordinarily, the governor needs to write the speaker to get into our hollow chamber or to get into our premises, or at least inform us if he has any reason to come here. Coming here and seeking to demolish our property, one built with taxpayers' money for the effective administration of the state legislature, is unbecoming of a governor in our time. A time when other governors are paying attention on how to improve the well-being of their people. Our own governor is busy looking for how to maintain structure, destroying democratic institutions, destroying facilities built by other hard-working governors. He has nothing to show but to demolish.
Well, a factional speaker there of Rivers State Assembly, Martins Amewule. I still have with me Tony Okocha, who is the APC Caretaker Committee Chairman of the state. Now, if you listen to him, one of the key concerns by Nigerians will be how to get this off the table. Many had thought after the president waded in, there was some form of peace, but it doesn't look like it, does it?
Well, whose fault is it? Let me first, there was the case I was making. I'm trying to also educate the PRO who should know that his party was in tatters. His party was in tatters. He had two persons contending to the office of a secretary of his party. It's enough. It's enough distraction. It's enough crisis in a party that can make any other person else decide, look, the kitchen has become too hot, I will leave. Okay, to get straight to the question you have not asked, the peace in Rivers State at the time Mr. President convened the meeting, that peace intervention that the president convened, the Rivers State was sitting on a keg of gunpowder. And all of us saw it on television, that the governor funded a group of people led by the one that he calls himself, the chief of staff now, to deliberately go and burn down the assembly. Maybe he was thinking that the assembly inheres in building. Now, the next other day, we were told how they procured a judgment, and the governor went and pulled down the assembly, all to stop the assembly members from sitting. But is it working? It's not working. That is not the law. The law says anywhere the assembly sits, to the extent that there is a maze, whatever they churn out there is legal and binding. So, again, you can see a governor displaying the threats of criminality, taking talks to skip the fence. It's not like he entered the gate or through the gate. They passed through the back gate, skipped the fence, went in there and broke the fence, they broke the gate, and then the governor drove in. And there was no notice from the assembly that the structure had
let's
some
start
defects.
talking about
there was
resolution,
no notice.
because I think we've had a lot of back and forth from your camp, from his camp, and from the Minister of the FCT. So
Yes.
how can this be resolved? You wouldn't want to see your state go up in flames.
No, it is the governor's the governor's business. I told you that he's the protagonist and the antagonist in this theater of absurd. I've said so. Now there is an 8-point proclamation document. Luckily, I was in that meeting, and I'm privileged to, say anything, all that happened there. The first point there, even though I'm sure you have a copy, is that the president in that proclamation document, after he had long admonished Rivers people, said in the first paragraph that all legal matters should be withdrawn forthwith. The second matter, the second index, stipulated that all the processes that the assembly members have espoused that will lead to the impeachment of the governor should be dropped. And as I speak to you, and you are aware, Arab covered the program too. The next day, the assembly members came back to this town, came back to Port Harcourt, and convened a session where the impeachment processes were dropped. So they have done their own part of it. Now, ask the governor what has happened to Index 6, where Mr. President also directed in that document that the governor should present a budget of Rivers State government to the assembly. Ask the governor what has happened. Ask the governor what has happened in Index 8, where the president said that no other nomenclature will be acceptable in local governments other than elected local government chairmen. So please find out from the governor what has happened. Every other part that relates with the assembly had been heeded to. Now, a lot of people who do not know, but take to the radio and television, will say, oh, the assembly members are vetoing the governor without communication, and who have been able to put on air a plethora of communication correspondences between the governor and the Rivers State House of Assembly. At some point, the governor will say, oh, okay, I'm submitting back the list for rescreening and all that, and the assembly acted on that. Assembly now makes a bill which is within their confines, within their presence, between their own functions, and then makes a bill, sends the bill to the governor for his assent, and the governor will write back to say, look, I am not going to assent to it. What does the law say? When a particular time, I think at exactly 30 days lapses, and that bill is returned back to the assembly will proclaim it a law. It has happened in this country. I work with the NDDC. NDDC was set up in 2000 via an act of parliament. In other words, the National Assembly members vetoed Obasanjo, the president then. So what is the novelty here?
Well, I'd like to thank you for your time. It doesn't look like there's a solution to all of that. We actually wanted a solution. We still went about talking about the problems. Tony Okocha, many thanks for your time.